So I got a request to do this video explaining why I left OLED for Qled. So I'm going to explain it like this. I already have the Tab S4 and I do all of my streaming as far as when I want black levels or when I'm watching a really dark show and I want OLED viewing quality or advantage in any way, shape, or form. I just do it on my tablet because if I'm mostly watching movies anyway, I can just do that in bed, comfortable, and just kind of hang out with the tablet. You know what I mean? And that's what I do for the most part. But at the end of the day, I don't watch it that often, and I don't really enjoy OLED to the extent that everybody else does because there are things I look for. Number one being color. No matter how hard I tried, every time I turned on my OLED, I was always reaching for the remote because there was always something I needed to dial in. There was always something off, there was a color that was missing, and like I'd be in the middle of a movie from scene to scene, and I was like, okay, well now I need to adjust this because this is off. And it got to a point where I was always reaching for the remote and didn't enjoy the TV. I was tuning more than watching, and that's where I started to notice the first wave of buyer's remorse coming in. And then the second part of it is the brightness. Every time an explosion happened that filled up the whole screen, it would just dim down, and there's no calibrating that out. It's always going to dim your TV. You're always going to have a dim experience when things get really bright on an LG display. And I don't know, I just can't deal with that. I need my tasty brightness because if an explosion goes off in the real world, you're going to squint. So why in the world am I not squinting when I'm watching my movie? After all, we want realism. It's about reality, accuracy, right? There's nothing accurate about looking at a sun in the sky after you got out of a dark movie scene, right? Like you're in this really dark cave and then they make it out in this bright sunlight and then you're not squinting at all. That's not realism. That's fake. That's artificial, and it just feels like you're watching a TV, not looking out of a window like people claim with OLED. Because truth be told, OLED can't give you that effect. It's very dim and I'm sick of that. And when we look at the gray uniformity issues, how you have that vertical banding on all OLEDs regardless of what type of OLED it is, that's another problem that I got sick of because I play on Xbox One X quite a bit, and when I'm on the home menu, I've run into a lot of uniformity issues, especially as I go and I adjust my audio and you get towards the darker areas of the gray pattern. Now, when we look at image retention, that was also something that I got really fed up with because it scared me a lot into thinking I had burn-in. So I was on Netflix, scrolling around a couple of tiles, decided I didn't want to watch anything, go back to the home screen, and lo and behold, I have image retention of what I was just looking at, making me think I had burn-in for all of maybe like 15 seconds to 20 seconds. And that got old. Same thing when I was on the Xbox home menu and I'm scrolling around and I'm looking at things, and then I get out of it and go back to the home menu. It's there. You see it clear as day. There is image retention of what you were just doing. And that kind of stuff for me is a no-go because you don't pay that kind of money to end up in that kind of situation. Then it got to the point of gaming. Gaming was really dark upon comparison. The Spider-Man game looked really bad. On PS4 Pro, you've had a lot of other games look really bad, like Jump Force looked really bad. WWE looked unplayable. Tons and tons of like Black Crush in the crowd, like, and that's my thing. Like, I do a lot of near black gaming, a lot of dark scenes, and OLED, for all its intents and purposes, its algorithm is set up only to turn off pixels when something should be black, but it doesn't say anything about near black, and it doesn't open up shadow detail. You lose too much information, and it's not colorful, bright, or impactful enough. And yeah, people are going to disagree with that statement because they've only compared OLED to OLED and never bought a quantum dot display. But I have calibrated thousands of TVs and I've been around the gamut, and I know everything it's supposed to do and what it's supposed to look like. And sorry, man, OLED just didn't do it for me. Like, and I've tried so many, man. And ultimately, when my Samsung Tab S4 gets brighter than my TV, I'm going to feel some type of way about that because that Tab S4 wasn't even close to $1,000 for me. You know what I mean? I bought it when it was on sale. Like, it wasn't even like that bad at all. It was like, what, $500 maybe? Like a little over $500, $600, whatever. It's not that bad. That OLED's well into like $1,300, like, and you can't even get as bright as a tablet that sits in my palm. Like, that's not good. And then, of course, I feel that way about my phone as well. My phone shouldn't be brighter than my TV, and it damn sure shouldn't have better color. But lo and behold, my S9 blows any OLED from LG away right now. I mean, like, it's just a fact. The color is better on the S9. It's ridiculous. So of course I'm not going to want that. And then when we look at other aspects of it, it just kind of gets like really old because, again, I don't like that they built the power cable into the TV. You got to worry about where you hold it, you're gonna trip over it, you know, is it gonna get chewed through and you lose your whole TV? Like, there's just too much to worry about. Ultimately, when it came down to making a buyer's choice, I started paying attention to things on the market, and ultimately, the only thing I really care about are really inky deep black levels and color and sharpness, upscaling, and things like that. So it was like, when you weigh everything up and then think about the most important thing with the cost to value ratio, how much did you pay? What are you getting back? I started having more cons than pros on my list when I got to OLED than I did with QLED. And so ultimately, that is why I switched. Because anytime you have more bad things to say about a situation or a product, it's good to get out of that situation or product. Because at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, who wants negativity around? I'm not that loyal to anything. So that was my thing, and that's ultimately why I pulled away. But if you've pulled away from OLED, I'd like to know why in the comment section down below. Because for me, I never got burn-in on my E8. I did on my C8 and tried again and got the E8. And I never got burn-in for the latter part of a month, as you guys saw. But ultimately, all these things, all these little behind-the-scenes things that really just bugged me. The number one being every time I had to watch a movie on it, I grabbed for my remote trying to calibrate because I was never satisfied with the picture because it was too dark, too dim, too ugly. And that washed out color just never did it for me, and I was always trying to get more and more out of the TV, and playing this balancing act just got old. When I got my H9F, it just clicked almost immediately once I just started dialing in things. So that was for me, but for you, I would love to hear in the comment section. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.